There is a man named Ravi who gets into bed at 11:40 every night, exhausted, phone down, lights off, eyes closed. And by 11:42, he is winning an argument that happened in 2019. He can see the room, he can see the man's face. He has a devastating line ready this time, the one he did not have then, and he delivers it perfectly. And everyone in that imaginary room turns to look at him. Ravi has been doing this for 7 years, and he has never once told another human being about it because he assumes it means something is wrong with him. Have you ever wondered why your brain does this to you at the exact moment you are trying to sleep? You know the feeling. The lights go off, your body finally stops, and then, uninvited, a movie starts playing. An argument, a rescue, a reunion, a speech, an entire conversation with someone who has no idea you are thinking about them. You didn't choose it, you didn't press play, and tonight it will happen again. So, why then? Why not at 2 in the afternoon? Because for the first time in about 16 hours, nothing is asking for your eyes. Here's something strange that took scientists a long time to notice. For decades, people studying the brain kept looking for what lights up when you do a task. Solve a puzzle, read a word, press a button. That was the interesting part. The rest was just machine idling. Then someone looked at the idling, and the idling was loud. When you start focusing on the outside world, your brain does not power down. It switches channels. An entire network comes online. A set of regions that mostly go quiet when you are concentrating on something and roar back the second you stop. It's the machinery of drifting, of remembering, of imagining other people and other rooms and other versions of yourself. Which means the daydream is not what happens when your brain has nothing to do. The daydream is what your brain does when it finally gets a turn. And you have systematically starved it. Every queue, every red light, every elevator, every gap in the day that used to be empty now has a screen in it. That whole ocean of blank time your ancestors had is gone. So there is exactly one gap left, the dark, silent, screen free stretch between lying down and falling asleep. Your brain has been waiting all day for that door to open, and the moment it does, it comes in carrying everything it never got to process. There's a second reason it happens exactly there, and it's almost physical. In bed, your body has already checked out, muscles loose, nothing to look at, nothing to reach for, but the mind takes considerably longer to shut down than the body does. So, for a stretch of maybe 10 or 20 minutes, you are lying inside a machine that is fully awake with absolutely nothing to point itself at. And here is the critical part, you can't leave. Any other time this starts happening, you escape. You pick up your phone, you stand up, you put something on. In bed, escaping defeats the entire purpose. So you lie there with no exit, while the thing you've been outrunning all the day finally catches up and sits down next to you, starting usually with the argument you lost. 250 years ago, a French writer named Denis Diderot went to a dinner party and got humiliated. Someone said something to him at the table in front of everyone, and Diderot froze. He had nothing. He sat there with a stupid look on his face while the conversation moved on without him. Then he left, and walking down the staircase on his way out of the house, the perfect reply arrived. Fully formed, brilliant, far too late. He was annoyed by this that he gave it a name, staircase wit, the spirit of the staircase. The comeback that only shows up once the stairs are between you and the person who deserved it. That was 1773. It's happening to you tonight, in bed, about a conversation from 4 years ago. So, what is your brain actually doing here? It looks like torture. It feels like torture. But watch it carefully and notice something. It never just replays the memory, it always rewrites it. You never lie there and lose the argument again in the exact same way. You lie there and win. Because your brain isn't showing you the past, it's patching a hole in you. Somewhere in that old moment, you were made small, and nothing ever closed it. And the mind absolutely refuses to leave an open loop alone. So it builds a version where the loop closes, where you were quick, where you were respected, where the room saw it. And notice that last part because it's the most revealing thing here. There is almost always an audience. Think about your own bedtime scenarios. Really think, is there anybody watching? Almost certainly yes. The ex who sees how well you are doing now. The old classmates in the crowd when your name gets called. The parent in the doorway who finally says the sentence you needed. Somebody is always there to witness it, and that somebody is never a stranger. Because the fantasy was never about achievement. There's a girl named Anaya, 15, who lies in bed every night and imagines being introduced on a stage. Not performing, she skips the performing part every single time. What she plays on loop is the walking out. The moment when the room turns and looks and knows who she is. Anaya doesn't want fame. Anaya wants to be seen by about 9 specific people. And that's what almost every one of these scenarios is underneath. Not a wish for a different life, a wish to be witnessed in the one you already have. Your brain is running social simulations because for nearly the whole of human existence, how the group saw you decided whether you survived. And no part of that alarm system got the memo that you now live alone in an apartment with the locked door. There's another version of this, one you've almost certainly run, and it's even stranger. The rescue. The building catches fire, and you are the one who goes back in. The car goes off the road, and you are the first to the door. Something terrible happens in a crowded place, and you are the only person who knows what to do. Calm, precise, unbelievable under pressure. Why would a tired person choose to imagine a catastrophe? Look at who's in the scene. There's always someone specific being saved: a sibling, a friend, somebody who once made you feel small, watching you now with a completely different expression on their face. The disaster isn't the point at all. The disaster is just the fastest available machine for producing the thing you actually want, which is proof, undeniable, unarguable proof that you are worth something to the people in that room. But not all of them are flattering. There's a woman named Petra who lies down at night and imagines her mother dying. She isn't morbid, she loves her mother enormously. That's exactly why it happens. She plays the phone call, she plays the drive, she plays walking into the room and what she'd say and who she'd have to call and whether she'd be able to speak at the funeral. And then she cries a little, in the dark, about something that has not happened. Why on earth would a mind do that to a person? Because there is a real theory that this is what the imagination is for. Not entertainment, rehearsal. A flight simulator that runs disaster scenarios in a room where nothing can actually crash, so that when the real thing eventually arrives, some part of you has already been there once. You've done this, practicing the hard conversation before you have it, playing out what you'd do if the car in front stopped suddenly, imagining the interview question you dread most. That isn't anxiety malfunctioning. That's the oldest survival software you own running a drill. The catch is that it can't tell the difference between a drill and an alarm. So it rehearses the loss of your mother with the same seriousness it would rehearse crossing a river, and your body responds accordingly. And at 1 in the morning, your heart is going for no reason at all. Now, here's the part that ties the whole thing together. Pay attention to what happens right before you fall asleep. There's a narrow window, a few minutes wide, where the scenario starts to flip. The argument you were directing goes off script. Someone in it says something you didn't write. The bakery becomes your childhood's kitchen. You aren't quite staring anymore, but you haven't let go either. That's the handoff. The fake scenarios you build on purpose and the dreams that happen to you are not two separate things. They are the same engine. Falling asleep is just the moment the steering wheel comes off in your hand. You've been dreaming for 20 minutes already. You just chill had the controls, which means the strange nightly habit you've been slightly embarrassed about is the on ramp to the thing every human being does. So, what is it actually telling you? Look at the content, not the frequency. The scenario you keep returning to is not random and it is not noise. If you replay one argument for 7 years, something in that room is still unfinished. If you always imagine one particular person watching, that relationship has something unsaid in it. If you rehearse a loss over and over, that's love measuring itself. Your bedtime imagination is the most honest map of your life you will ever be handed. It shows you what you want without any of the flinching or the modesty or the excuses you use in daylight. And it hands it to you every single night for free, in the dark, in a room where nobody can judge you for it. The only reason it feels shameful is that nobody talks about it. Ravi hasn't, Anaya hasn't, Petra hasn't. Everyone is lying in the dark running the same private cinema, absolutely certain they are the only one in the building. Nobody in the history of the world has ever fallen asleep in a completely empty mind. Have you ever noticed you can't remember the exact moment you fell asleep? Not once in your entire life. The last thing in there is always a half finished scene. The comeback you never got to use. The name being called. The door opening. Then nothing. Then morning. So tonight, at some point after the lights go off, a movie is going to start playing, and you are not going to be asked for permission. Let it play. That's not your mind refusing to rest. That's your mind finally being allowed to speak at the only hour of the day you ever stop talking over it.